So let's now look at inspecting what you expect. There was a study done by a combination of an independent consulting firm, the Georgia Southern University, and a magazine in North America called DC Velocity. And what it stated, and I'll read this to you, warehouse and distribution center managers can and often do gather a vast amount of performance data on their operations, but the ability to use that information to make management decisions is finite. In order to prevent all the data from becoming so much noise, managers have to determine which measures are first reliable and second most useful, and then concentrate on those. So tie that back into my quote, inspect what you expect. Build your expectations, build a plan around them, and then inspect those specific metrics. Don't try to measure a cockpit or a dashboard. Think about driving your car if there were 450 gauges and dials. That wouldn't be very effective. That's why we've got only a handful, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, depending upon the vehicle that you drive, that allows you to effectively drive that car and keep it within the white lines at the proper speed and maintenance of the vehicle. One of our customers, a company called Hall's Warehouse, as you can see, found significant value, 10% by accelerating airport put away, 15% by reducing employee productivity or improving employee productivity. They reduced the number of replenishments necessary by 13%, and they monitored the USDA and FDA hold orders. This happens to be a company that does business in the food business, and so they've got the U.S. Department of Agriculture that's looking out after making sure they do things from a compliance perspective properly. And it's all through selecting the appropriate metrics and then building tools that monitor them visually and alert them either through things like emails or text messages when there's things that are out of compliance that demand their attention. So consider what we talked about to this point in time simply a call to action. Whether you choose to look at all those factors or none of those factors is solely up to you. The goal here, as if you recall, was to improve our competitive position, back to Porter's methodologies, improve the competitive positions of our company by looking at a couple of things: to reduce the operational costs as a percentage of sales, to improve my customer service without increasing my cost, to provide world-class compliance for my customers and my vendors, and to leverage real-time information to manage by exception, back to my inspecting what I expect. So the prize comes to me by virtue of taking action against this call to action that we just talked about. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about some real-life examples of this. MicroChannel is a customer called Global Warehouse and Logistics, GWL. And what their quote to us was, Accellos One has allowed us to achieve a pick accuracy of 99.96%. This accuracy is verified by a full-time client auditor at the DC, and now means our clients' retail stores no longer check off deliveries, but rather receive in full against an Accellos-generated ASN. This has resulted in around a $1 million reduction in store labor costs for our client. GWL is a third-party logistics company, and so the labor cost savings in this particular case manifested itself not only within their warehouse, with their people, but also within their clients' stores, where they were able to receive in full, put them on the shelves, get them in front of the potential retail buyers more quickly and more effectively than before. A company called Hampton. This is a company in California that ships locks, door locks, and lighting to big box home do-it-yourself stores in North America. Home Depot being their principal customer in North America. Their commentary, real-time capture of information, allows us to spot and identify problems more quickly and allows us to track picks accurately as well as to obtain better metrics across our operations. Anytime cycle counting means that we always have accurate, up-to-date status of any and all of the product in the warehouse. Now, the other thing that's meaningful about Hampton that's not as obvious by this quote, Hampton, although quote-unquote is a manufacturer, they have all their products manufactured in the Orient. And so if you really look at their operations in North America, they fundamentally are a distributor with long lead times on the products because they're shipping container loads across the pond from the Orient to them of these locks and of these lighting goods. And so they have better visibility into the information of the actual goods on the water. From a container tracking standpoint, they can see from an ASN perspective when they can expect the products in, and all of that is a result of the supply chain software that Accellos offers. A company called Clipper, first-time user to appreciate the impact Accellos has had on Clipper's warehouse operations. You can eliminate about half of the paper-based activity. So they didn't eliminate everything we talked about before. They actually achieved about half of that. Now, subsequent to this, they're continuing to whittle down that dominance or that reliance on paper to where probably today, if you check them again, they'd be closer to 75% of their paper-based activities have been eliminated as they've gone through the use of the product over time. Duckhouse Sports, their commentary is warehouse is fully integrated from receiving, put away, picking, and shipping. Automated cycle counting enables us to know inventory statuses in real time, so there's no more shutting down to take inventory. Before, we had to spend hours every week reconciling paper records with bin contents. So if you go back to those areas where we can find absolute real-time value, both in customer service, increasing customer service while increasing cost, reducing the overall cost of operating the warehouse, and certainly improving the accuracy, their comments drive home all of those points. Halls, this is the information we just talked about before. Not only a healthy user of our warehousing system, but certainly one of our most significant users of our supply chain intelligence solutions, which go after the inspect what you inspect, and you can see the information as I mentioned before. So let's take a break right here for a moment and take a quick look at the product, and then we'll stop. And since I'm not going to be there to answer questions, we'll leave it to the folks at MicroChannel to answer any questions you might have. So let's go take a look at the product itself for a moment. So let me introduce you to our Accellos One product. I know that there are some, or at least there were planned to be, some of our existing customers in this webinar. This might look very different to what you're accustomed to from the radio beacon solution or even the older Accellos One warehouse products that you've seen in the past. We've spent an enormous amount of money over the course of the last 3 years in building out an entirely new architecture